This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
قالت وزيرة الخارجية الأمريكية هيلاري كلينتون إن على العرب أن يتقاربوا مع إسرائيل.
U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said that the Arabs must take steps to improve relations with Israel and accept it as a country in the region. Speaking from the Council on Foreign Relations, Clinton made reference to the Iranian nuclear issue, saying that the opportunity for dialogue with Tehran will not remain open indefinitely. More details with Fadi Ismail.
من منبر مجلس العلاقات الخارجية في واشنطن.
From the podium of the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations in Washington, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton has returned to the spotlight after a brief absence due to a broken arm. Clinton tackled several issues of great concern to the United States. Among the most prominent is the Arab-Israeli conflict. Clinton urged the Arab governments to support the Palestinian Authority and to prepare their citizens to embrace peace and accept Israel's place in the region.
Arab states have a responsibility to support
the Arab states have a responsibility to support the Palestinian Authority, to take steps to improve relations with Israel and to prepare their people to embrace peace and accept Israel's place in the region.
By doing so, this will encourage the Israelis to become more lenient, especially in regards to the settlement freeze, which Clinton described as politically challenging. Clinton, however, stopped short of reiterating previous calls for Israel to freeze all settlement activity, prompting some political analysts to describe her statement as a step in the wrong direction. This news comes after Tel Aviv expressed resentment over previous comments that were issued by President Barack Obama, who called on Israel to freeze the construction of settlements. Regarding the showdown with Iran, Clinton said that ruling out the option of direct talks with Tehran has failed to convince Iran to stop its nuclear program. Clinton added that Obama's offer for a dialogue with Iran will not remain open indefinitely.
Iran can become a constructive actor in the region if it stops threatening its neighbors and supporting terrorism. It can assume a responsible position in the international community if it fulfills its obligations on human rights. The choice is clear. We remain ready to engage with Iran, but the time for action is now. The opportunity will not remain open indefinitely.
It seems that the U.S. Secretary of State has offered a similar conditional deal to the Afghan-based Taliban movement. Clinton said that Washington is ready to deal with members of the Taliban if they give up their weapons and take part in the political process in accordance with the Afghan constitution.
This week's deployment of Israeli warships across the Red Sea should be viewed as serious preparation for an attack on Iran. This according to an Israeli defense official quoted in today's edition of the Times of London. The official told the newspaper, quote, "These maneuvers are a message to Iran that Israel will follow up on its threats." Earlier this week, two Israeli Navy Sa'ar 5 gunboats sailed openly through the Suez Canal and into the Red Sea. The Times also quotes Western diplomats as saying they have offered Israel support for a military strike against Iran's nuclear facilities in exchange for Israeli concessions in peace talks with the Palestinians, including the creation of a Palestinian state.
U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton also had a message for Tehran. Clinton said it's time for Iran to stop threatening its neighbors and end its support for terrorism. She stressed that Washington preferred dialogue, but would not hesitate to get tough if necessary.
Our willingness to talk is not a sign of weakness to be exploited. We will not hesitate to defend our friends, our interests, and above all, our people, vigorously and when necessary with the world's strongest military. This is not an option we seek, nor is it a threat. It is a promise to all Americans.
A senior American diplomat, Fred Hoff, was in Damascus today for meetings with Syrian Foreign Minister Walid Muallim. The talks lasted for an hour and a half. Hoff refused to take journalists' questions following the discussions. Before flying to Syria from Israel, he met with National Security Advisor Uzi Arad and Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon in an attempt to renew peace talks between the two countries.
The IDF Northern Command believes that in flagrant violation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701, Hezbollah has turned hundreds of homes in southern Lebanon into warehouses for storing short and medium-range Katyusha rockets. The Army has released video footage taken from an Israeli drone on Tuesday showing a home exploding in the village of Hirbet Selm, some 20 kilometers north of the Lebanese border. IDF ballistic experts said that dozens of holes in the roof are the size of 122-millimeter Katyusha rockets. UNIFIL issued a statement calling the incident a serious violation of the UN resolution that ended the Second Lebanon War exactly 3 years ago.
And in a related story, Israel's Iron Dome anti-missile system successfully shot down a Grad-type missile in its first live trial last night. The Grad is the kind favored by both Hamas and Hezbollah. The system created by the defense establishment's Rafael Systems is designed to be effective against both short and medium-range rockets like Qassams and Katyushas. The Defense Ministry hopes to deploy Iron Dome outside of the Gaza Strip as early as next year.
10 people were wounded in Jerusalem's ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods today as rioting continued for a third day over the arrest of a Haredi woman who was suspected of nearly starving her 3-year-old son to death. IBA's Eli Wogelanter has that story.
The epicenter of the rioting was in Jerusalem's ultra-Orthodox Geula and Mea Shearim neighborhoods, but stones were also hurled at the windows of the Education Ministry and the Geula Welfare Office, where workers were evacuated. Protests spread to Beit Shemesh as well, and Haredi demonstrators also appeared outside Hadassah Ein Kerem Hospital, where the boy is hospitalized. Today marks the third day that demonstrators have taken to the streets over the arrest of a Haredi mother suspected of starving her toddler. Rioters clashed with police and burned garbage bins and filled the streets with trash during their demonstrations last night and today. 20 rioters have been arrested. The Jerusalem City Council said it could not clear the garbage for fear of more violence against municipal workers. The municipality regrets the inconvenience to residents of these neighborhoods who are not involved in the incidents, said a statement issued by the municipal spokesman. Yesterday, Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat ordered the municipality to hold all services to the neighborhoods of Geula and Mea Shearim, also out of fear for the safety of municipality employees. Meanwhile, the 30-year-old mother, who is ultra-Orthodox and belongs to the extremist Toldot Aharon sect, has been remanded for allegedly starving her 3-year-old son over the course of 2 years until he weighed a mere 7 kilograms. The suspected child abuser apparently suffers from Munchausen's by proxy, a psychiatric disorder that entails abusing someone, typically a child, to draw attention to or sympathy for oneself. The woman's London-born husband, a 30-year-old yeshiva student, said he was unaware of any abuse on the part of his wife, a Jerusalem native. The woman's family claims the child has cancer and that his skeletal appearance is due to chemotherapy treatments. That claim is being denied by doctors who say that since the mother's arrest, the child's condition has improved and that he has begun to put on weight. Eli Wogelanter, IBA News.
Some observers say that the classical Israeli position towards the Palestinians has never changed, regardless if right or left-wing parties are in office. However, the American position has changed. First, is the change in the American position real? Second, can Obama do more than what he has already done? Is the Zionist American lobby in good terms with Obama, or are they fighting him?
So far, Obama is still on a honeymoon. Perhaps he's been criticized a bit, and perhaps some of his projects have been derailed, and some newspapers have started to make fun of him, which, by the way, show that a campaign is being launched against Obama. Still, Obama enjoys widespread popularity. The Zionist lobby can't fight him.
But Netanyahu said that his government is going to clash with the United States.
Yes, the problem is, what are they going to clash about? Will Obama go too far in pressuring Israel by imposing punishment on it? As we know, when George Bush Sr. was in the White House, he stopped $10 billion in loan guarantees to Israel. Also, when then Secretary of State Baker got mad at Israel, he told them, "Here's my phone number, and call me when you change your mind." But Clinton failed to pressure Israel. He tried to do that when he mediated between Arafat and Ehud Barak, but he did not succeed and reversed his position. Clinton eventually adopted the Israeli position. Today, the question is, how can Obama pressure Israel? Does Obama have the ability to pressure Israel? Because he will be fought, derailed, and perhaps killed. He also might be prevented from staying in the White House for a second term. In the end of the day, there's the temptation to stay in the White House. Without a doubt, Obama's team is planning a second term in office. Perhaps if Obama is in his second term of office, he may be able to turn the table against Israel, because he would not care about the consequences as much. Today, however, the Democratic Party will not allow him to pressure Israel. So far, he has not shown that he is a leader that can enforce his will. He has taken some initiatives, such as what we have seen in his speech to the Muslim world in Cairo, and his rapprochement with Russia. He extended his hand to Muslims, improved relations with Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and even sent an ambassador to Syria. However, these initiatives are not risky. A risky initiative will be like the one taken by George Bush Sr. when he pressured Israel to come to the negotiation table. Bush Sr. had promised the late Saudi king, Fahd bin Abdel al-Aziz, may God have mercy on his soul, that after the liberation of Kuwait, the U.S. would push for the peace process. Bush Sr. held the peace conference in Madrid, and when the Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir refused to go, Bush Sr. dragged him there.
The Viva Palestina convoy, dubbed the Artery of Life, arrived on Monday to Gaza under the leadership of George Galloway, MP of the British House of Commons.
The Artery of Life No. 2 carried large quantities of aid and medicine.
The American aid convoy, Artery of Life, has entered Gaza through the Rafah crossing. The convoy includes 12 cargo trucks loaded with medical aid worth $1 million. More than 180 American human rights activists accompanied the convoy.
This is the second time we've visited Gaza. We came here because the people in Gaza are dying as a result of a lack of food and medicine. This is the duty of all artists and politicians, regardless of their ethnic background.
We came here to decrease the suffering in Gaza. We understand the injustices they are being subjected to, and we know that the Gazan children are suffering and dying from lack of medicine.
Egypt has provided all kinds of accommodations for the American convoy in order for all the vehicles to enter Gaza. This reflects the Egyptian authorities' concern for the Palestinian people.
This trip was easier and the convoy's vehicles were insured throughout the trip. The convoy arrived to the Rafah crossing and our comrades are about to arrive to the crossing as well. God willing, today, 184 human rights activists will enter along with 12 cargo trucks loaded with medical supplies.
A delegation of Jewish rabbis and religious leaders who are opposed to Zionism also entered Gaza through the Rafah crossing along with the American aid convoy to express Jewish solidarity with the people of Gaza. They reiterated that the establishment of Israel is against God's will and the Torah. They also accused the Zionist movement in Israel of using Judaism to steal Palestinian land and attack innocent Palestinians. The American aid convoy, dubbed the Artery of Life, has arrived on Egyptian territory. It has already entered Gaza through the Rafah crossing due to significant accommodations from the Egyptian authorities. This is a reflection of the fact that the Egyptian authorities have always tried to decrease the suffering of the Palestinian people and break the siege so that the people in Gaza will be connected to the outside world.
U.S. Viva Palestina aid convoy has entered the Gaza Strip via the Rafah crossing. The convoy's organisers had arranged entry into Gaza through Rafah with Egyptian authorities, but were forced to wait for 10 days. Many international activists, including members of an anti-Zionist communities in the U.S., former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinny and British MP George Galloway, accompanied the aid caravan. McKinny was held in Israeli prisons while attempting to enter the Gaza Strip for the third time. Here's what she told us about her experience.
I was with the Free Gaza movement. We were in a boat, and the Israeli military boarded our boat and kidnapped us and took us to Israel instead of allowing us to proceed to our destination. The Viva Palestina convoy spent 11 days in Cairo waiting to get here, and now we only have 24 hours. And now they're telling us that our time is up and we have to go. I renew my call for President Obama to come to Gaza, to send his special envoy to Gaza, to stop sending military weapons to Israel so that we can have more Gazas. We need to stop. The United States needs to stop. And I'm so glad that this convoy of approximately 200 people from the United States is saying no to U.S. war policy.
The Iranian student news agency announced the resignation of the chief of the Iranian Atomic Energy Agency, Ghulam Reza Aghazadeh. The news agency added that he submitted his resignation to President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who accepted it 20 days ago.
The resignation seems surprising to some, though others consider it predictable in light of the changing political Iranian atmosphere and the increasing tension between the reformists and the conservatives. Some tie the resignation of the chief of the Iranian Nuclear Energy Agency, Ghulam Reza Aghazadeh, to the repercussions that followed the elections that took place last month, which announced Ahmadinejad the winner for another term. This is not surprising, especially when considering that Ahmadinejad had previously announced his intention to make changes to his government. Aghazadeh, who was appointed at the end of August 2005 to be the president's assistant as well as the chief of the Nuclear Energy Agency, conducted meetings during recent years with parties concerned with the Iranian nuclear issue, most importantly with Mohammad al-Baradei, general director of the International Atomic Energy Agency. The most important position taken by Aghazadeh was his opposition to resolving the subject of the Iranian nuclear program from within the United Nations Security Council, due to concerns of lack of objectivity. In a political maneuver, Aghazadeh said that many of the solutions to the crises taking place in Iraq, Afghanistan, or Lebanon depend on negotiations between Iran and the 6 Western nations. This is an indication that his policy was based on the idea of granting Iran a key role in the region, particularly in the Iraqi crisis, in exchange for opening a door for dialogue about the Iranian nuclear program. Did he resign or was he fired? This is a question arising in the streets of Iran in the midst of anticipation of the repercussions that this step may have on the Iranian nuclear program within the international arena. Hussein Shahadeh, Al-Arabiya.
Amidst this, Al-Arabiya has learned that the Iranian Interior Minister is moving to prevent the reformist Mir Hossein Mousavi from creating an opposing political front. Mousavi announced his plan to attend tomorrow's Friday prayers, which will be led by the former president Hashemi Rafsanjani. In an official statement, Mousavi said, addressing the people, that it is his duty to respond to the calls to protect the legal rights of the people. The conservative newspaper, Kihan, called on the supporters of Wilayat al-Faqih, or Authority of the Supreme Leader, to attend the Friday prayers in large numbers in order to foil what it called the scheming of the reformers.
تضمن تقرير الشفافية الذي أصدرته وزارة النفط العراقية تعرض حياة موظفي الوزارة.
The transparency report released by the Ministry of Oil indicated that Iranian Revolutionary Guards threaten the lives of ministry employees while they clean and maintain oil fields bordering Iran. The president of the Committee for Oil and Gas in Parliament, Ali Hussein Baldu, confirmed that Iranian border violations have reached the point where Iraqi oil ministry employees have been fired on from the Iranian side over the past 6 years.
في الوقت الذي كشف تقرير الشفافية الذي تصدره وزارة النفط عن بعض الأسباب.
The transparency report released by the ministry revealed some of the reasons behind the decrease in oil production. One of the most important reasons is the failure of the oil ministry to use oil fields on the Iraqi-Iranian border and the fact that these oil fields are being used by neighboring countries. Strong criticism continues to be leveled against the oil licenses that were given to foreign companies last month. The transparency report explained that Iraq has 3 oil fields along the Iranian border which have already been developed for oil production. In addition, there are 7 explored and previously drilled oil fields, as well as 11 other sites that were discovered in an earthquake scan. The report accused Iranian Revolutionary Guards of interfering with the duties of the Iraqi oil ministry employees after being asked to clean and maintain joint oil fields. The president of the Committee for Oil and Gas in Parliament, Ali Hussein Baldu, confirmed that Iranian border violations have reached the point where Iraqi oil ministry employees have been fired upon from the Iranian side over the past 6 years. He demanded that the borders between Iran and Iraq be clearly specified, while giving priority to negotiations with Iran and Kuwait over the joint fields. The objective is to clarify the oil fields of each country, though according to Baldu, there has been a failure to do so. Meanwhile, the chair of the Oil and Gas Committee in the Parliament, Jaber Khalifa Jaber, said that the permission the oil ministry gave to a number of oil companies last Tuesday was a failure. He added that the oil ministry is reconsidering the deals due to the oil prices that were agreed upon, which will cause the oil ministry to lose its credibility. The head of the Accordance Front Party, Ahmed al-Alwani, said that these government-approved licenses are unfair and will harm Iraq's economy. He explained that there are skilled Iraqi nationals who can increase the country's oil production and develop discovered oil fields. He criticized the ambiguous and hasty way the oil ministry granted licenses for exploration. It seems that Iraq's wealth, especially in oil, which the Iraqi government depends on in order to carry out huge development projects they promised to the country, will continue to suffer setbacks. Even after the withdrawal of the American forces and the improvement of the security situation in Iraq, Iraqis will continue to suffer from the weak policy of attracting foreign investment and the failure to listen to expert views.
The Baghdad Military Command Center has imposed a ban on the movement of motorcycles and horse-drawn carriages in the streets of Baghdad from Thursday morning until Sunday. The command center said in a statement that the measures aim to help secure the moving of convoys of pilgrims visiting the gravesite of Imam Musa al-Khadim, peace be upon him. Saturday marks the anniversary of the martyrship of Imam Musa al-Khadim. In the name of the national sovereignty, the Iraqi forces launched a new military operation dubbed Iraq's Wall. The objective of the offensive is to maintain control along the borders with Iran, especially in the provinces of Basra and Misan.
The new offensive, which is an offshoot of a series of smaller-scale military operations, is aimed at pushing deep into the international borders with Basra. The offensive is intended to stop the infiltration and smuggling of weapons into Iraq.
Iraq's Wall is a new military operation that was launched by the Iraqi security forces. The operation aims to maintain security in border towns and outposts in the provinces of Basra and Misan.
This operation is part of a successful security plan. It will do good for the residents and the rest of the nation. The offensive will help provide security for the people living in these areas. Amidst this, the residents will be able to sleep better at night.
This operation aims to provide security for the residents. We support it for the sake of our nation. It serves everyone's interest.
Security is not a major issue in this village. However, what we need are public services. We don't have water, electricity, or clinic. There's nothing here for us.
Part of the security operation was to assess the level of public services, especially in areas suffering for a shortage of water, electricity, and educational services. The shortage in public services has forced several families to immigrate out of the area.
Son, we don't have anything here. There's a shortage of water. We don't have anything. There's no water and no tea. We feel like we're living in caves.
Our school is very far from here. It is more than 3 kilometers away. I only go to school twice or 3 times a week because I cannot walk every day.
One of the reasons I dropped out of school is long distance. The school is about 4 kilometers away, which means I have to walk 8 kilometers back and forth. I attended another school which was nearly as far, so I finally decided to drop out.
The cooperation between the citizens and members of the security forces has helped restore security in these border areas, especially after the Iraqi forces assumed full control of the provinces. Operation Iraq's Wall carries a new message, saying that the Iraqi security forces are in charge of enforcing the law and maintaining security. The operation also lays the groundwork for extending educational and public services to these villages along the border strip with Iran.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.